What is going on, Movie Meals? Movie Meals, fresh off the Oscars. Look, I took tomorrow off because I'm an Oscar guy. Okay, I love this. So Kyle and I decided to stay up. It's late, not as late where Kyle's at, so he's got the time. Oscars just finished. Before we get into it, thank you, Movie Meal patrons, Kimberly and Karen. Go get some merch. Get one of these bad boys by just commenting. All you got to do is comment, like, subscribe, and share. Do those simple things. Help us get to 2,000. We're going to pick somebody once you cross that 2,000 mark. We're going to keep doing this if it takes 3 years. We don't care. But we're here for the Oscars to talk about them. We can run through each category quick. I feel like there's other main things we're going to talk about. I'm just going to go in order of my list here. But we'll start with the two writing. So writing for original screenplay, the winner was Anatomy of a Fall. And the writing for adapted screenplay was American Fiction. Kyle called American Fiction. I thought it might go to Oppenheimer. I thought that was the front runner. Very happy that it ended up being American Fiction. Happy for both of those. Anatomy of a Fall makes a lot of sense. I still wish it might have been Past Lives, but all that makes sense to me. You got any thoughts there on the writing? All these made sense.
I think the script in Anatomy of a Fall is fantastic. I also would have wished that Past Lives in general just had more love, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out that way for that movie. For adapted, me personally, I still think Oppenheimer is more of a stronger script than American Fiction, but it was nice to see the Academy shine some light on American Fiction, I suppose, because it is a good movie, and I thought that it was a well-written one, too.
Yeah, I agree. Give me one sec. Okay. Moving on, visual effects. This one was jump up and down screaming. It went to Godzilla -1, rightfully deserving. Loved it. The whole VFX artists that were there had like customized like special high heel shoes that they were all wearing, where like the high heel was his claw. Really cool. I was like, I'd put one of those bad boys on. You kidding me?
That's cool.
They were so excited. I loved it. I will say I'm annoyed at the Academy for playing him off because it was very clear that English was a tough language for him to speak, and he did not speak it well. And he had written a bunch down. He was going very slow to just kind of get everything out, and they still played him off. And it's one thing when you're rambling, but it's another thing when you're playing somebody off who is just trying to say everything. It just takes them a little longer. That annoyed me, but still they got a moment to shine. Love it. Sound went in an upset, I think many people would say, to Zone of Interest. I think people who have seen a Zone of Interest are like, yes, makes sense. But Oppenheimer was definitely the front runner in this category. Tonight was filled with upsets. The front runners did not win in a lot of these categories, and I think this is one of them. So Sound ended up going to Zone of Interest, and it's a deserving Oscar win. It's not a big snub win, but it is an upset. You can have an upset without it being, you can have the betting favorite lose and be an upset. It doesn't have to be this insane underdog story.
Right, right.
But Zone of Interest score or sound design and editing is very, very good and very strong and powerful. We talk about characters in a movie. I think it's very kind of one of them. So it makes a lot of sense to me. But I still like that Oppenheimer pick, though. Thoughts?
I mean, you saw me on our last video. I was sweating bullets when it comes to choosing the Zone of Interest. I'm happy that pulled through for me in terms of bragging rights. But Oppenheimer and Zone of Interest, to me, they both had equal amounts of worthiness when it comes to winning Best Sound. So, I'm just happy that I was able to get that one right because I was pretty nervous about that one.
Yeah.
Thought I'd be wrong.
And that's the one Kyle beat me by one, and that's the one he beat me on this year. I was just glad to have people back. I've spent the last 3 years doing the Oscar pool with my mom. I love my mom, gracious. But I always beat her because she doesn't pay as much attention to all this as I clearly do. And so it was nice to have some competition. It was nice to actually do it with friends again because I have missed that. It's been about 3 or 4 years since then. So it was much more of a fun watch, I felt, this year.
Thank goodness for Barbie.
Short film live action went to The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar. Everybody knew that. Wes was not there to accept his first ever Academy win. Apparently he is filming, his new movie starts filming in Germany tomorrow, is what I was told, saw online. Moving to short film animated. Kyle and I both missed this. This one ended up going to The War Is Over, which I did mention in our other video was very possible, and I had heard a lot of good things about it. You just can't beat the Beatles at the end of the day. Did not go to the 95 Senses, and it did not go to Letters to a Pig. Letter to a Pig. But yeah, any thoughts on any of those, Kyle, or are you good to move on?
Just happy for Wes Anderson getting a win finally, but also equally a bummer that he wasn't there to receive it. But good for him, though.
Yeah, good for him. Production design. These ones were interesting. Production design. I'm actually just going to put all these three together. Production design, makeup, and hairstyling and costume design. All three went to Poor Things. I consider these upsets. This is where you spread the love. I think I saw a tweet that I thought was hysterical that said, please, for the love of God, stop having Poor Things win. My grandmother now wants to watch the movie. And I thought that was hysterical. But do I think these are deserving Oscars? For the most part, yes. I'm not rolling over upset.
Yeah.
But I do think at the end of the day, the production design is better in Barbie. I think Barbie should have probably won this. So I consider it a slight snub, but I'm not like screaming to the high heavens. I'm so upset that production design goes to Poor Things. The production design in that movie is great. Same with makeup and same with costumes. I knew had to be Poor Things. So that one makes sense. But you got thoughts on these three here, Kyle?
2 out of 3 ain't bad. I suppose I'm imagining now that the only win that Barbie got was probably for Best Song. So it is unfortunate that Barbie wound up being a movie for the Oscars where it was getting the nominations, but just didn't succeed in getting the wins. But we were saying, when it comes to Best Costume and Best Production Design, that you could flip-flop it between Barbie or Poor Things one way or the other, but just went Poor Things' way this time, although the production design, since you were speaking a little bit about it, I still think is terrific in its own right. I remember seeing behind the scenes stuff when it comes to them building like the one set of that small town in the middle of the movie, and just really impressive how they were able to pull that off. So anyway, just great job for Poor Things, but bummer for Barbie at the same time.
Yeah, it is a bummer for Barbie. All right, we're going on to music. Original song went, as Kyle brought up just a second ago, went to What Was I Made For? Saw a lot of comments on Twitter talking about how as soon as the I'm Just Ken performance ended, that it was that the read in the room was like, man, did we make a mistake on what we voted for by all these members of the Academy? But this is very well deserving. It's the best of these songs. This wasn't a shock. Billie Eilish said she was shocked in her speech. I don't know if I believe her. Everybody knew this was coming. It's the best song by a mile, and some of them are really great. Performances are really good. So yeah, any thoughts on this, Kyle?
Probably one of the least surprising wins, I would say, of this year. So yeah, I don't know. We can move on. Good for her.
I'm going to rant
Good
for
song.
a second, though. I'm going to rant for a second, okay?
Yeah, take it away.
I just ranted earlier about this, okay? Look, all right. You're not going to find a bigger supporter of this show than me. If the Oscars want to be 5 hours, I would love to sit down and watch all 5 hours. The problem with me are the people who want the songs but want a shorter show. The Grammys is for music. So these are your first cuts. If you're going to cut anything to make the show shorter, these are your first cuts. You don't cut anything else but this first, I think. You just do. It makes the most sense. And I don't know. I saw so much discourse online. Our friends yelling at me. Ridiculous. Driving me nuts. So I wanted to rant about it on the show because I hope they watch and I hope they hear me. Ridiculous. This is the first thing you cut, but the performances are still great. The I'm Just Ken performance was great. And at the end of the day, the performances of the songs in the show only really matter to everybody when it's a big artist like Billie Eilish, Lady Gaga, or it's a great performance, an energetic performance. I'm Just Ken, the La La Land intro from a few years ago. Like, that's when people care. It's all these other songs that everyone else is on their phone during, and they're not paying attention at home. So that's just my point. But if the Oscars, I'm down. Let's keep adding categories. I want to watch the show all day because I love it. But anyway, I just want to rant about it. Moving on. Music, original score. This one went to Oppenheimer. Didn't feel like this was even close in contention. This one made sense. Kyle, thoughts?
Sorry, real quickly, I'm trying to familiarize myself with this category.
Score was
And
fiction, Indiana Jones, Killers of the Flower Moon, Poor Things, Oppenheimer.
right.
Not even close.
Yeah, another easy one for me. I think Oppenheimer made most sense for its win here.
Yeah. And it didn't get sound. They spread the love, so they must, they looked more at the score than the sound. Also for sound, the one of the guys from Zone of Interest had an interesting, like, kind of funny comment where he's like, "Hey, thank you to the Academy for just listening to our movie." But moving on, we already did makeup. So international feature film went to Zone of Interest. No surprise.
Yeah.
Film editing went to Oppenheimer. I felt this was no surprise. I know a couple of people were saying they wanted it to go to Anatomy of the Fall. I saw a couple of people saying Anatomy of the Fall or Poor Things online. I think Oppenheimer was the clear front runner here and winner here, especially when you think of some of those scenes, the bleacher scene and how it's edited, and all the scenes of him just thinking of the bomb, us cutting back and forth to the fusion and all those things. I think is just excellent editing. So I think this wins. Any thoughts?
Yeah, it just really helps feel the weight of the character as in his situation as it progresses before and after the bomb, and just it's essential to the movie. Feels deserving and not surprising that it won.
All right, moving on. Let's see. Documentary short subject did not go to the ABCs of Book Burning, which Kyle and I had picked. It went to The Last Repair Shop, which was not one that I felt was really in the kind of conversation going in that I had heard. Obviously, I hadn't seen him, but very interesting to see. The Last Repair Shop took that one. Moving on to documentary feature. This one went to 20 Days in Mariupol. Great speech talking about Ukraine and everything that's going on. Did not play him off, thankfully. I think that one makes sense. It's a documentary that I added to my watch list. It's one I really want to make sure I check out.
Okay.
Any thoughts, Kyle? Moving on?
Yeah, we can just move on. I haven't seen any of them, so I was just guessing for the most part.
All right, I'm going to jump to cinematography here. Cinematography ended up going to Oppenheimer. I thought that was what was going to win. I believe, Kyle, you picked that too. Yep. That makes the most sense. I think it's the most beautifully shot of all the movies. All right, then we had Best Director, and Nolan finally got his Oscar. Thank goodness.
Good for him.
I think this was also a clear cut. Like, this was easy. Like, we knew this was coming. This wasn't a shock. Like, if he wouldn't have won, we would have been like, what? Not Nolan? How do you not do it this year? And I love it. Nolan rightfully deserved to win here. Moving on, animated feature film. This was an upset. I think more people were expecting it to go to Spider-Man. Kyle and I picked Spider-Man. Almost everybody in our friend group picked Spider-Man, and it ended up going to The Boy and the Heron. And I think, Kyle and I talked about it. I think the idea of people being like, wow, Miyazaki might not be making any more movies. This movie is very good. He has made more in the last decade. I mean, Wind Rises came out, I think, in 2013. Didn't win an Academy Award, and none of his has won an Academy Award since Spirited Away. And I think they were just like, it's time to really give the GOAT another one. He was not there to accept it, and the memes were hysterical online of people talking about how Miyazaki retired, came out of retirement, made a great movie, decided to put an end to all this conversation of you can make a better animated movie than me, reminded everybody how good he is, and then just moves on to his next project. So this was one I'm so happy to be wrong in, because as much as I love Spider-Man, Boy and the Heron, I love too just as much, and it is so, so good and deserving. Thoughts, Kyle?
I don't know this off the top of my head. Has Miyazaki been able to win an Oscar before? I would imagine one of his movies has been nominated.
He's only won for Spirited Away. Spirited Away is the only other movie of his to win. He's had other nominations, but it's the only one to have won.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, good for him for getting another. This one was a battle in terms of choosing it for when we made our predictions video, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm happy to see Boy and the Heron overtake Spider-Man. just for Miyazaki's career. Just another, notch on his belt in terms of how great he is.
Yeah, and I saw Chris Miller immediately had a quote where he was like, well, if we're going to lose, might as well lose to the GOAT, is what he said, something like that. And it's like, makes sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. I think we've covered everything but the big ones.
Yeah,
So
so.
We'll talk about actress in a supporting role. First award of the night went to Divine Joy Randolph. Not a shock. Extremely happy. Delivered a great speech. Talked about people who have supported her whole life and all the way back to her childhood. Beautiful. Loved it. Very, very well deserving win for her. Thoughts, Kyle?
Just kept running and running and running until she got that Oscar. Good for her.
And now moving on to actor. He also kept running and running and running and kept winning. And RDJ won again. The supporting actors were kind of locked and loaded. He won. He had a great speech. His speech was a bit shorter than I think some of the others. He did not seem as overwhelmed as I kind of, you just never know how people will act. And he acted very RDJ. You thought maybe he'll break down for a second. He didn't, but it was cool to see. He's deserved it. He's been nominated 3 times now and finally has got a win after a long career and a long battle in his own life. And so it was cool to see. Thoughts?
Yeah, you made a very good point about like what he's overcome with his personal life and getting his career back on track. Now I just can't wait to see what Robert Downey Jr., the Oscar winner's career, is going to look like at this next stage. It's going to be very interesting to see like what he's going to get for projects.
He did mention how this movie kind of saved him because I think he was having a tough time after the MCU and Iron Man. I think the movies that he was choosing were tough and the movies he was getting were tougher, and it just didn't work out in the way he wanted, and Oppenheimer really, really helped. But all right. So we've got the last 2 big ones here. We'll do actor in a leading role. Cillian Murphy won. I think we all kind of expected it, as much as there was some hope that Paul Giamatti was sitting there nipping at his heels. It went to Cillian Murphy. He had a great speech. Love that he won. His performance in Oppenheimer is once in a generation, I think. And I think this was clear cut from the get-go. So I'm very, very, very happy that he won it here. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, the close race with him and Giamatti didn't really make me question if Murphy wasn't going to get this award. I always thought that it was always him from the get-go, so unsurprising to me. But hey, Murphy's career has been excellent, but he's finally able to get his big moment, and on top of that big moment, he got an Oscar out of it. So, yeah, awesome to see that story of his. It's cool.
It's cool when you see a guy that I think has been more characterized as a character actor kind of break away from that mold, and now his name is more known throughout. Now to, for some people, a huge upset, for some not. Actress in a leading role went to Emma Stone, did not go to Lily Gladstone, the hometown girl. It went to Emma Stone. She was overwhelmed with emotions. I truly think she didn't think she was going to win. It does not happen very often that somebody wins the SAG and does not win the Oscar. And Kyle, you and I talked about it on this show. I'm flicking my pencil around. Kyle, you and I talked about it on this show, though, that when you open that voting body and you go from your acting peers to now everybody's voting, does the name Emma Stone carry more weight for more people? And it just did. Lily's just not as known throughout Hollywood in this way. And it's a bummer because I think the Academy could have made history tonight by picking her. I think her performance is as good, arguably better. I think you can argue that it is a better performance. Emma Stone's
it was a tight race.
Emma Stone's phenomenal. My brother put it in our chat earlier that she might be the best young actress of this generation. She is really that up and coming. That's her. And I think that's very fair. Review, I think it's very true. Poor Things was an excellent movie. I still wish it would have been that hometown Montana girl really shining a light. She was awesome. And I had, when this one is your second to last of the night, all I'm doing is sitting there going, man, I hope I just build up, as much as I am happy for Emma, you're disappointed because you really wanted it to be Lily. But they showed Lily Gladstone. I mean, I made sure I was looking at everybody, and she looked ecstatic for Emma. And there's not a lot of people who act that way. Bradley Cooper didn't even stand up for Cillian Murphy, and that got a lot of flack immediately. And people want to just continue hating on Bradley Cooper.
Yeah.
But anyway, Emma Stone's performance is great. Thoughts? Anything else you want to say on this category?
Well, as much as we were saying it was a tight race between these two, like you telling me that Emma Stone won made my jaw drop, because I had convinced myself on her predictions video that there's enough reason that Gladstone was going to get this win. So now that I've recovered from that, it's just one of those scenarios where this particular category was just so stacked in terms of like who could have won, just such terrific performances. And it's okay to have like numerous people that you're rooting for within one category. Like, I mean, I was rooting for Sandra Hüller on top of Gladstone and Emma Stone, like they were all just that good to me. But, I think it was a tight race and rightfully deserving between these two. But yeah, Emma Stone, after like being a 2-time Oscar winner, I am just so curious to see where her career is going to go. And Gladstone, she's going to get a huge bump in her career, even though she wasn't able to like get the statue, like she was saying in many press junkets that she almost quit acting entirely. And then now she's able just to be in the room with all those actors, possibly getting an Oscar. Like that's still, no wonder she's smiling. Yeah. She got that close. Like good for her.
Yeah.
So great stories all around. Great category where it was just so many good performances.
Yeah, on the performances, I want to touch on something along the show, and I know you don't watch the show anymore, so just bear with me. Oh. But I'm such a big fan of the show, and I love. This is my reality TV. You can make fun of me all you want, but half those people go and watch reality TV. This is my reality TV. It's just real life. So I love it, and the show did something different this year. Instead of the last year's winner coming out and announcing who won in the acting categories, it was not just them, but 4 other former winners. And they did not show clips from the movie. They just talked about them. Each one of those 5 actors they brought out, or actresses, talked about the nominees. Each one talked about someone. So like the very first one was Jamie Lee Curtis came out with 4 other actresses who won for supporting role, and she talked about Jodie Foster, and then somebody else talked about someone else. Like I think Mahershala Ali came out, and he talked on Mark Ruffalo and things like that. As much of a nice sentiment I think that is, I was not a fan of that choice. I think when you're celebrating, I think when the people from last year come out and it's just them, we're recognizing that great performance one more time from last year. Mm-hmm. And when I think all 5 of them come out, I think it diminishes all of the wins that all of them had. Like I know it's like, oh, we're going to pay homage to all 5 of them. And I just don't think it makes it as special, because all those up until now, for 94 years, however long the Oscar was, 96, all of those other actors got to do that. They got to be just the soul one more time. Everybody clap for me. I'm great to be back. I can't believe I was here a year ago. It's so cool. To now, Key doesn't get that moment. Brendan Fraser doesn't get that moment. And so I didn't like that choice. I understood why they do it. I get why the reason behind it is trying to make it more personal. Mm-hmm. I get that. I just don't think it works. I also did not like the clips being taken away, because the clips, they're showing the performance. They're here to remind the audience, especially because when you have all this news around your Academy voting base not watching all the movies, show the clip. Make someone in the audience go, oh, dang, I made a mistake. I should have seen that movie. Sometimes mm-hmm. the clips are the most powerful moments. And it's fun, I think, for viewers to kind of guess what part of the movie are they going to choose. Are they going to choose the America Ferrera big speech, or do they choose something else? Mm-hmm. Like I think that's one of the coolest parts of the Oscars, and I think I think we took away from the people who were nominated, and I think we took away from the winners last year more to celebrate everybody, and I just don't like that. I think we're on this year. We're here to talk about these movies more. And I think that everybody else got their years. So I was not a fan of that decision. I hope they reverse it and change it next year. I think it was very, very poor choice. I understand why. I understand the Academy, head of the Academy could walk up and explain to me everything I already know on why they did it, and I would look him right in the eye and tell him he's wrong. I just don't think you made a good choice. It's my opinion. But that was that I thought that was tough. I like the clips. I think the clips are powerful, and I don't think they take up. I mean, they don't take up as much time as all of 5 different people talking about 5 people with quick clips that are less than 30 seconds. Those speeches were at least a minute. Well, probably not. I'm sure someone's timing them. They're probably shorter, but they felt longer to me. And it just reminds, if you miss a movie, it gives you a chance too to be like, oh, I got to check that one out. I forgot about that. Let me add it to the watch list. But anyway.
Well, yeah, that sounds like they weren't really thinking about the viewers in mind. It sounds like they were more thinking about like the people in like in the room, which I think is kind of a mistake. Like on the one hand, I guess you could say like, look at these past winners and maybe like address like those movies of the past, but they have already had their time. Like we're focused on the now, like you were saying. That does feel like they weren't really thinking about the viewers with the way that you described it to me. So I kind of get your sentiment when it comes to that. Also, it sounds like it's very hard to coordinate too. Like you have to get all 5 of the last.
It wasn't 5 it wasn't the last 5 in order. So like Nick Cage came out and spoke for Paul Giamatti. Tim Robbins came out. Some people who haven't won in years came out and spoke. But it was just people who have won in that category. And I just don't think. I don't know.
Still sounds tough.
It feels like we're taking away from this moment. And like, look, Nicolas Cage, for example, he was funny. He talked on Paul Giamatti and it was funny. Everything he said was funny. But some people, like, you could tell it, they were told you're going to speak about this actor that you don't know. And so, someone's writing what you're going to say basically for you. And then like Jamie Lee Curtis is saying beautiful things that are probably off script a little bit about a friend of hers in Jodie Foster. Where then some people aren't and not doing that. So I just wasn't a fan of that. And I don't think it saved you time. The show was still 3.5 hours. The show, we got to move off of the time thing. Just celebrate it. You moved it up an hour. This is the first year they moved it up an hour. It was supposed to start at 8 Eastern time. It started at 7. You need to move it to 6 Eastern time. Okay? There's no reason that your show can't start at 3 p.m. in LA. There's no reason. Let the after parties still start. Like, there's no problem with it. They're all crazy anyway. Yeah, they're all crazy anyway.
They got the cocaine out before they got there. Like, they're ready to go.
At one point, I looked at Autumn and I said, Florence Pugh, because you could see like Florence Pugh like jazzed up, and I was like, she's ready to party. And then like a little bit later, they show Zendaya, and I was like, but Zendaya's ready to go watch a Disney movie with Tom. Okay, they want to go snuggle up, watch a Disney movie. Okay, because that's what they, I love it. Anyway, I got more thoughts on the show, but we'll do Best Picture first.
Sure,
Best Picture went to Oppenheimer. Expected. Was it my number 1 last year? No, it was Kyle's though. It was my number 3, 2. My number 2.
Terrible.
Rude.
I'm just kidding.
This was rightfully deserving. I mean, I wish Past Lives would have won this. I think Past Lives was sensational, but Oppenheimer's sensational too. But man, if they had said Barbie, I would have lost my absolute mind. I would have been so happy.
You and many other people.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
I think the slight on Barbie is idiotic. But anyway, Oppenheimer was great. It deserves this win. It was announced very anticlimactic by Al Pacino, who clearly didn't really know what was going on. Like he was like, look, he was just being an old man, didn't know what was going on, and all of a sudden he goes, and I think what do I see? Oppenheimer's the win. Oppenheimer, and it's like, my guy, this is Best Picture. What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like it's a trend where they fumble the bag in terms of how to end the show on a high. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, he
I
just came out being an old man. You just need to come out and just say it regular.
But like, you got to choose the right person to do that. Like, it can't be old man Al Pacino. I'm sorry. Like, that's not it.
They've moved off of the trend of just showing all the best pictures very quickly, a clip of the movie right before as well. They've been slowly moving off of that for years, and they just show one quick clip. And this year was even faster, right after commercial. And I'm still not a fan of that either. When we're about to see Best Picture, remind everyone what it is. Like if the first one you show is American Fiction 3 hours ago, people have forgotten who was up for Best Picture, especially the common people. There are a lot of people who tune into the Oscars every year who don't actually pay attention to movies, but they're here for the celebrities. And you want to remind them about it. Put me in charge. That's all I'm saying. At the end of the day.
You would do a much better job than whoever else is running it, Al. Like, I'm dead serious. You have more passion for the Oscars in your pinky compared to those wackos up in LA are doing, that's for sure.
Yeah, I know. I should just move to LA and just work my way up.
Dude, just bust down the door of the head honcho's place and go, I'm the captain now.
I'd literally be like, not only am I in charge, I'm hosting every year, okay? I'd be a great host. Couldn't write a joke to save my life, but...
Speaking of hosting, how did it go with Kimmel for the 4th time?
I was going to mention that next. Okay. I thought this was his 3rd time.
I don't know.
I believe
it could be his
20th
20th time, for all
Correct
I know.
us if you know the right answer. I thought this was his 3rd, right? He did the La La Land year. He did the year right before that. And did he do last year?
I don't know if it was last year. Who even did it last year? I don't know. Did he do it the year after they didn't do a host? Or was that when like Wanda did it?
This has Jimmy Kimmel hosting 3 times.
Oh, okay.
Well, looking it up.
Feels like a lot more.
Last year was we have 3 hosts, but they're not hosts. It was Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, and Wanda Sykes. Then they went 3 years with no official hosts, and then it was Kimmel. Wow. Then we had Rock, Neil Patrick Harris, and the Seth MacFarlane one was in 2013. It was a little over a decade ago. That feels so long ago.
Yeah. That Neil Patrick Harris one was pretty good. Like, I remember that intro that he did. That one was really good.
See, I think it's okay. I thought his performance was fun and okay, but I did not think it was the best. Like, you remember Seth MacFarlane saying a whole song about seeing the women's boobs.
Right.
Like, that was one of his bits. And he's liked a lot in Hollywood, it seems.
Yeah, seems like it.
But Kimmel, contrary to whatever random NFL quarterbacks say online, I've always been a fan of Jimmy Kimmel. I have no beef with him. So Kyle must not know that reference.
What football player said that? No, I have no idea.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers just has said a lot of stuff about him.
Yeah.
I was just making a joke on that.
Gotcha.
I've always liked Kimmel. Kimmel's the best host. I mean, Kimmel, the first year they had him, he was the best they had in a while. He has been better than just about everybody for the last 10 years, to be completely frank. I mean, just looking at the list a second ago, he was better than Ellen. He was better than the girls last year, and I liked him. Better than Seth, better than Neil. He has been better, I think, in recent memory. Out of the 3 years, I would rank this the last. I thought his first 2 were much better. His opening monologue was okay. He had some jokes that just didn't work. Everything he pretty much said about RDJ just didn't work. And it was only kind of funny because RDJ was kind of being like uncomfortably, like he made me feel like I was uncomfortably laughing because of what RDJ was doing in response to it. And you could tell it wasn't really a script or bit, like he didn't know it was coming. So I didn't like that. He made one joke about I can't even remember the joke in the very beginning monologue about Poor Things being a lot about sex or all about sex or something. And people on I don't know if this is what you said. They quickly show Emma Stone right after. And it looks like I don't even know if I think it looks like, because I'm bad at lip reading, but a lot of people are saying it looks like Emma Stone is saying to her husband that what a prick to him about Kimmel and the joke.
That's
and
awesome.
I don't know if that is what she said.
Oh,
But
this new era of Emma Stone's amazing. Here we go.
In this, I think it's more telling on Kimmel's ability to host and how well he does. That joke didn't work. You could tell the room wasn't feeling him a lot at the beginning, I thought. And there were times throughout the show, I think he got better as the show went on. His bits later, I thought, were very funny. And some other people had some very funny bits. I thought the funniest bit was America Ferrera, Kate McKinnon, doing a bit about it was just funny. I don't even know how to describe it. It was funny.
I'll look it up later.
The John Cena bit was very funny, I thought. That was very funny. And he actually walked on stage naked, so that's incredible.
That did actually happen? I thought I heard something about him changing clothes, and I wasn't sure.
He did, but he apparently was, like, he's hiding it, but you can, like, the question is he wearing, like, a really tight Speedo or, like, whatever they wear during sex scenes of the movies, or is he actually naked? And then people there were, like, posting pictures being like, he's pretty naked. But you can't really see much other than his, as other people saying, his incredibly cheeked out butt. But it's John Cena. But that bit was very funny. It was a whole bit about the streaker. This is like the anniversary, like a something year anniversary of the Oscar streaker they had. Right. So that bit I thought was very funny. The Kate McKinnon one literally had me belly laughing. I thought it was so funny. And it involves Steven Spielberg, and it was just really funny. But the jokes at the beginning of his monologue were okay. I thought he ended his monologue really strong, though. I thought some of the jokes got a little better, a little funnier, and then he ended the whole thing talking about how great it was to be back. The strikes ended. We made it through, and he had the entire crew from the back come out and take a bow on stage, and I thought that was really, really well done. I thought that's excellent. That's what we're here for, because it is true. At the end of every Broadway show, they're always going to point to the crew. Like you always give thanks to the crew, and in movies we don't do it as often because they're very thankless. You don't see them. You don't think even the people in production design. There's two people coming up there who are the heads of the production of the movie, but that there's 50 to 100 people, depending on your movie, at home watching the Oscars. Are we going to win an Academy Award? I helped build that set. I helped design that costume. Am I going to be a part of this? And those are the people you do that for. And so I really liked that moment. I thought that moment was very good. So I thought this was a good year for his hosting. I just didn't think it's not memorable. I think it's more of a forgettable year in terms of his hosting. I think his La La Land year and the year before was better. But I do want to say this. I saw a discourse about this online. I was not a fan of how they handled the In Memoriam this year.
Again? Didn't they mess it up last year too? Or am I
don't
misremembering
remember
something?
Maybe. I just don't remember. But this year they switched screens 5 or 6 times. And usually they might have a performance, right? Somebody singing a song. Great. I love that. The people who performed tonight were excellent. I loved the choice. I loved the people who they brought in. I thought that was great. But usually it's like, okay, we're going to, like my TV screen watching at home is filled with the In Memoriam. And that's what I want. I want to look at who passed away, show me the clips, remind me of maybe people I had forgotten, people I was expecting, and just let everybody pay, homage to the people that helped shape their lives, even though they had never met. That's what the In Memoriam's about. And this year, it starts with the camera in the audience. Like clearly, it's just some guy carrying the camera. It's not even on a line or anything. It's just the camera guy, and he's slowly walking. We're very far from the stage. There's the screen they bring down and a performance going on. Then that screen goes up. The performance moves. Now we're on the big, the big circular one. The performance shifts. Then 5 little screens came down, and then we're just seeing images. Like we're not seeing like the cool kind of 3D images now, or kind of the quick montage. We're just seeing images, and they keep kind of going back and forth. We're watching the performance. There's dancers, all stuff, And then those go up, and then we go to the side. There are 2 TVs on the side, and we look there, and we're at a wide shot watching at home.
So basically, Al, this is a waste of everyone's time. The viewers, the people working the cameras, the people working the screens, like everyone involved. This is a waste of time instead of just doing one big
but
screen.
I'm not even done.
And just everyone face forward.
But I'm not even done.
This is baffling to me. This show is so stupid.
Then we go back to the big screen in the circular, in the big circle screen. And never once. At times I couldn't even read the names of the people because the camera was so far away. And I saw people saying that's one of the best in memoriams I've ever seen. What are you talking about? You didn't pay any love and care to the people that passed away. You cared about a show. The show is for them, the people that are there. I just want to hear the music and see who's passed away. That's it. I want to give them their other moment. And I didn't get to do that. It drives me nuts. Like, do you not understand what the in memoriam is? It's not this big, lavish performance. I don't care about the dancers. And they did great. It's no shade on the dancers. They're awesome. The song was great. The people singing beautiful voices. Just show me at home the screen. And you can cut the screen a little bit. They've done that in the past. You put the performance to the side. Excellent. Love it. That's perfect. Show me who has passed away. It should not be difficult. I got an 80-inch TV, and I couldn't see what the names of the people were for some of them. Ridiculous.
It's so stupid. I'm sorry. No, I know you love the Oscars, but it's just crap like that drives me nuts. Like, I just can't with them. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
But the problem is I'm getting on Twitter and I see film critics and pundits and just creators in the space going, that's one of the best in memoriams I've ever seen. What are you talking about? You didn't give any love and attention to the people that passed away. That's why we're here. Oh, that annoyed me.
I don't know how those people thought that. I don't know. I don't know.
Unless those tweets were meant to be sarcastic, they don't read sarcastic.
It could be.
Yeah, but they don't read it that way. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the overall show. I thought it was a good overall show. I think some of their changes just didn't work. The I'm Just Ken performance was awesome. The I'm Just Ken performance was
what you hoped for.
It was nice. It was exactly what you want. It was fun. It was upbeat. It was energetic. Those are the performances you want. All the songs that always get nominated are always really dark, deep, intense songs. So it just...
Sure.
But I do miss the days when we had Will Ferrell, Jack Black, John C. Reilly coming out doing a song skit. Those were fun days, man, back in the old Oscars or mid-2000s, bringing those bits back. But anyway, I still like the show. Everybody there wanted to win, whether they say they do or don't. Every single one of them wanted to win.
Of course.
And, because everybody at the end of the day wants to win an award in their field. We all love recognition. But anyway, totally. I thought the show was great, guys. What did you think of the show? Kyle, got any more thoughts?
No.
I'm right here. Never left.
Oh. Sorry, you now my computer was acting weird, but now you're back.
Well, let's end this show and get out of here. We got technical difficulties up the wazoo. Thank you, Mil patrons. Go get some merch. Get one of these by liking, subscribing, commenting, all that great stuff. If there's technical difficulties, bummer. And as always, thanks for watching, Mom.
See you guys.